Welcome to The Prize Inside. The Prize Inside. A chiropractor's journey in everyday holistic health and vitality. Here, your host, Dr. Jeremy Myers, delves into the remarkable journeys of everyday people who have embraced the path to health and healing. Through his practice, Dr. Jeremy encounters inspiring stories of profound transformation and the power of true healing within each of us. Stay tuned as we discuss various holistic topics and unlock the healing potential that lies within us all.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Hopefully you're having a great Sunday night. I know if you look at my shirt here, if you're on the live stream, my Lions did a really good job. So that was kind of cool. They kept having to play in different times this year. Monday night, Sunday night, Thursday. Dear Lord. So finally got a normal Sunday game. But besides that, hopefully everybody's good. Michigan had its first snow, which was fantastic. The amount of stuff I was going to do, we're shifting our garden into, we're making a different one. And we're like, I can do that all November. It won't be any problem. I'm still going to do it. It's just going to be a little messier now. So we're just shifting it to we kept putting it in a corner. So we have all this land, right? So we have quite a bit of land that we could use. So, but in my brain, I kept saying, okay, your garden, you want it in a tight little area. Well, we had so much rain this year, and the way it was kind of set up was just not the ideal when it came to weeding and all those kind of things. So we thought, make a big row, right? And then being able to go around each side very easily. These cool cattle fence panels have been fantastic. In just bringing stuff up, because a lot of times we're big into the tomatoes and cucumbers and stuff. So with that said, hopefully you guys are going to have a good fall and just do your winter stuff, right? So don't be afraid to get outside either. Once it gets snowy, best time to get out there. Remember, we're in the holistic world. We are all about homeostasis, and our homeostasis, once it goes up and down, right? We'll probably do another show on this. Homeostasis is the ability to go up one direction, hot, then cold, and then be able to adapt to those two different scenarios. So one of the best things in health is to challenge yourself. Go outside when it's cold. Go outside when it's hot. Those kind of situations are really, really good. So tonight is called Breathe Better, Live Better. So what I did tonight was I kind of went through, our presentation is going to be on some big people on the internet. So it's going to be some breathing technique kind of gurus that I really want to get you focused on, so that you can take a look at them and see if it's something you want to do. All right, Julie is back. Yeah, I saw that. It's going to be, the temperature around here is going to be back to by the 50s by Friday. So that'll be hilarious. But it will be a good time to do the rest of this garden stuff. So I'm really excited about that. Before we begin, though, I want to make sure that I give you all the places you can find this show. The first one is The Prize Inside on Rumble. I'll put a little link in the description if you're watching. Also, we have our YouTube channel called The Prize Inside You. That one is going to come up there. And then I think those two. And then we're going to do, and then of course, I love the podcast. So the podcast, very easy, nice audible to it. It goes with it. It gets streamed into almost every podcast out there available. So you can get it anywhere, like iTunes, app, podcast, Spotify, all those different ones. So if any of those look good to you, let me know, and then we can get it rolling. So, but yeah, so give me a thumbs up and a like Get on there. I'm not great at asking that stuff, but hopefully one day all of my content will be worth each and every person. I think I'm up to 70 people on my Rumble channel, which is really exciting because I have some bigger plans for the old Rumble channel too. I want to do a night of just, chatting back and forth with just questions. But to do that, I need a pretty decent audience. So it's not just, two people, I could do that on a phone call. So I would rather do something cool like that where we could just go, mingle back and forth on different things or look up things together. And so tonight it was a pretty fun one because using, finding these different experts out there on the breathing. I've told you on the ones that I've studied. Dr. Andrew Weil is somebody we're going to talk about in the 4-7-8 breathing technique. There's several different ones, and we're going to go through a little descriptors of each one and understanding where this comes in. Okay. Breathing by itself is probably one of those subconscious. Oh, did I talk about CPAP? We'll discuss that. We will discuss that because that is an interesting concept. And I'm going to actually, let's talk about that right now. My brother Ryan's asking. You see how I call you back, right, Ryan? Hopefully. Well, me and you will talk about some stuff. But the CPAP is an interesting concept. Here's what I know. It's helping a lot of people. I know that. People are super fatigued. They were feeling very down. Which is why when you go into these sleep studies, a lot of times they would I actually watched a presentation on a sleep doctor, and they would, put all these different things on your head. One of my biggest missions in this world is to find a actual why CPAP is or the sleep apnea is occurring. At this point, there is no true causation. I want to say that. They're getting closer, I think. But what there's things from tight muscles to there's so many different ways. One of them that's a big one is how thick your neck is versus the rest of your body, like that kind of situation. I don't want to say that I'm going to give you any kind of good, why is this happening in sleep apnea situation? Because it definitely happens, and it's definitely a health issue. But why so many? It's like as soon as you do the sleep test, I don't know how many pass it, but so many people fail it. One of the things I learned herbally that I'd really like to suggest to you is I have a supplement at the office, the hops or a hops extract. Now, why hops? Hops is a natural it's a muscle relaxer. Okay. So it can act like a muscle relaxer. Sometimes recommending that hops, if you're not allergic to it, could actually relax the muscles that need to happen. Okay. So there's a theory that actually your jaw is the biggest issue because it's not allowing your body to fully relax. And so one of the biggest problems with, just this type of situation is how do we fix that? And right now the CPAP is just essentially shooting the oxygen you're losing into your body, but it's not saying, okay, I need to, and I have a friend that has an actual patented jaw brace that actually pulls your jaw forward a bit. And and it can be like wired up. So it really, really works well. But the problem is like, what is the causation? What is the causation? I have a sneaking suspicion there is a chiropractic piece to it. I believe that there is something to do with what we call our forward head posture, where all of our muscles and bones are all, looking down at a cell phone or, those kind of things. I think as the head posture improves, as the neck, moves correctly, it could be the reason that it actually occurs. Let's say we overcorrect these muscles that come down, and these are too strong for what we're actually normally doing. That is my guess. So this is just an educated guess. But what happens is we know that there's muscles that are firing that shouldn't. I know that just based on watching this sleep doctor go through there. The big muscle in your jaw called the masseter. Every other muscle in this guy, the test he was showing, every other muscle in this person's face was relaxed except for the masseter. The masseter is the big jaw. You see it in like dogs, the big strong one, on a pit bull or something. We have that jaw. It's one of the most powerful muscles we have in our human body as well. Why is it active? And that's where the hops could come into play. So with that said, remember those two little hints before we get rolling. So let's talk about some breathing. Breathing is physiologically one of the most important, easy self-care things you could possibly do. Learning to breathe, learning to understand it is going to be key. It's going to be a huge key role for you as we get going. Okay. So breathe better, live better. All right. So what are we going to talk about tonight? We're going to understand the various type of breathing because that's it. Some physical reasons. Oh, get out of there. That's not the right slide. Okay. Oh man, what happened? Hang on. All right. Here we go. Okay, we're good. Okay, so let's talk about breathing. So let's go back to this one. Somehow I didn't copy and paste what's going over. We're all going to talk about herbal and nutrition to help your breathing. We're going to talk about most of it tonight is going to be about exercise and different patterning that a lot of cool, I got quite a few YouTube channels to kind of like get us kick started up too. Let me make sure I pull that up actually before we get going. My playlist. All right, there we go. Okay, sorry about that. All right, so here we go. So breathing patterns profoundly influence nearly every system in our body, acting as a direct dial for your nervous system and every other part of you, blood chemistry, and even gene expression. Nervous system balance, slow, deep, diaphragmatic breathing, 6 to 10 breaths per minute through the nasal, right? Activates the parasympathetic rest and digest response via the vagus nerve. This lowers the heart rate, the blood pressure, and cortisol while boosting heart rate variability. Heart rate variability is kind of it's a really cool. Think of your the strength of your pulse. So if you have a really weak pulse or a faint pulse, I love this physiology concept. The strength of it. Just think the strength of your pulse. Okay, heart rate variability, a key marker of resilience. Fast, shallow mouth breathing, really quick stuff, triggers your sympathetic, your fight or flight response, spiking adrenaline and stress hormones, even when no real threat exists. Chronic shallow breathing keeps the body in low-grade alarm. So think about what we do normally. So typically, we're going to sit and do shallow breathing because of our high stress environment. The moment we go into work, do we have slow, deep diaphragmatic breathing, or do we have fast, shallow mouth breathing because we got to get things done? Most of the time, our subconscious is putting us into the fight or flight mode. What if we started as our self-care model, begin to start taking the time to create a slow, deep diaphragmatic breath, which is amazing when you're talking about the change in everything. As a busy guy that adjusts a lot of people, sometimes I get overwhelmed with the stress of making sure people aren't waiting or, those kind of things. Once I am able to let my body do the deep, slow diaphragmatic breathing, it really helps balance me out and be a better person in the moment, right? In the moment, because the parasympathetic, the rest and digest, you can really engage with a person, right? So just remember that, my job's a little different in the sense that you want to be engaged each and every time you come into a room. And one of the tricks is always getting your breath right. Okay. So here's another breathing thing that happens that we need to make sure we know what it is. Breathing also does your oxygen delivery and your carbon dioxide tolerance. It's called the Bohr effect. The Bohr effect is slow breathing raises blood CO2 levels slightly, which improves release or oxygen release from hemoglobin to tissues. It's counterintuitive, but it's critical. Overbreathing, hyperventilation, drops your CO2, constricting your blood vessels and reducing your brain body oxygen. Okay. Mouth breathing bypasses the nasal nitric oxide, a natural bronchodilator and antimicrobial, reducing oxygen uptake by up to 20%. So when you just breathe through your mouth, so a lot of us, I'm really probably one of the ones that is pretty bad on this mouth breathing, you end up don't get that nice nitric oxide that they sell as a supplement, by the way. Think about that. Nitric oxide to create the bronchodilation, and it will mess with your oxygen. Immune and inflammatory control. This is interesting. This is all just what the benefits of breathing correctly. Controlled breath holds, what they're going to call the Wim Hof style, which we'll go over, creates a brief hypoxia, which is lack of oxygen, triggering certain pathways that reduce inflammation and enhance immune cell function. This is another one, rhythmic nasal breathing filters, warms, and humidifies air, reducing pathogen entry and airway irritation. It's pretty cool. Here's some more. Okay. I just want to show you the benefits because a lot of times we think just breathing, and it's such an easy one. It's such an easy one to add to what you're doing. pH and metabolic health. Overbreathing, hyperventilating, expels too much CO2, making blood more alkaline, which causes dizziness, tingling, and muscle spasms. Slow breathing stabilizes pH, supporting metabolic efficiency, reduces lactic acid buildup during exercise. One of the things we're seeing is a lot of vertigo, dizzy type issues pop up on many people. We've had I've done a video. If you ever go to the Prize Inside of Rumble, we do one of vertigo and the role of calcium. Make sure you go and watch that if you have that issue. But breathing can be another key piece because when we overbreathe, a lot of times we will, if we overbreathe or hyperventilate, right, we can cause ourselves to have this difference in blood chemistry, and that blood chemistry lowers the amount of oxygen you get to your brain and mood. So let's go on to the next one. So breathing is the other thing that it can help is the brain and mood. 4-7-8 or box breathing synchronizes prefrontal cortex and amygdala activity, reducing anxiety and improving focus within minutes. Chronic mouth breathing is linked to ADHD symptoms in kids and sleep disordered breathing in adults, snoring and sleep apnea. So that's another thing, is to learn how to nasal breathe. And we'll go over a few of these tonight. Posture and core stability. Diaphragmatic breathing strengthens the core, which is your transverse abdominis. So it's like the side of your abs, not necessarily your abdominal wall, and your pelvic floor, which is a big problem. And it corrects forward head posture because it helps you had to take a bigger breath. You have to force your head back. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go through some various guys in the world. Okay. So there's breathing ones out there. I want to put them out there But because of copyright things, I'm going to explain to them as best you can, explain what they're really good at, and I want you to go get them. Go follow them on YouTube or, whatever, take their courses, those kind of things. Because last time I talked about a couple of these guys, they were kind of, oh, you're copyright. I was just kind of thought an advertisement for them would be okay, but I'm learning. If I do like a minute clip, I don't think they get as mad. So I'm going to try to get in there and do that because you guys want to see these experts. It's not like I'm trying to take it, I promise. Okay, for my first expert is one of my favorites that I had discovered a few years ago. His name is Wim Hof. Wim Hof, he's known as at Iceman Hof. So it's WIMHOF. I'll put that in the chat, actually. So Wim Hof, spelled it correctly. And he has a really good YouTube stuff on breathing. Now, his method is this. He does a 30 to 40 deep rhythmic breaths hold plus a breath hold 1 to 2 minutes. He does a ton of cold exposure. That's one I kind of say that he's probably my ice bath, probably the population's reason the ice bath started happening. So what this 30 to 40 breaths are really, you're over hyperventilating. Now, if you go back to my list, if you hyperventilate, which system do you go into? Do you go into the rest or digest or the fight or flight? We go into the fight or flight. So Wim Hof's process is to actually get you ready. And if Ryan's still watching, doing the 30 to 40 minute deep rhythmic breathing is a really good way to actually get your energy up, to boost energy, boost the immune system, those kind of things. It builds the CO2 tolerance. It can enhance stamina. It can enhance mental resilience. It's not going to do relaxation, right? But it's a very good process for if you're a weightlifter, if you want to start working out. Doing this prior to the workout is probably better than the actual warm-up. So Wim Hof's is fantastic, but it's 30 to 40 really quick breaths. And then he has breath holds as well. So I'll leave you to go watch because he's got those on YouTube. As we go, I don't want to show you how to do it on each of these. I just want to make sure that I get you guys some of these great experts and what we can do. So Wim Hof's is about your athletic performance. I want you to go into that. Most of my athletes should get into that process where if you ever watched, like a kid coming out of football and then let's say the first quarter they're playing and they're super lethargic, this could be that answer. Because a lot of times you're in this process. You have to get this fight and flight kind of going in a good, sustainable way where your body can actually control it. Andrew Huberman, he's a huge podcaster. I really like his stuff. He's a teacher somewhere, some big school. What's funny is I swear my stuff, one of these days I want to be on one of these. That would be an awesome goal. But Huberman does the physiological sigh, which is a double inhale and a super long exhale. So you do a double inhale. And what it does is it's shown actually in science to help you kind of balance out your physiology as you're doing it. So, and then he also you want to nasal breathe. So you want to inhale, right? Inhale through the nose and then exhale through the mouth. So you double do it. Why do you double inhale? My assumption is the first time you inhale, you stop at that level, but there's an additional amount you can get and then you do one long exhalation. And when you do that, it can really give you a physiological answer to moving all these things. That one could actually enhance and make you feel more relaxation type situation, could boost the mood, could get your focus going, right? Very, very simple ones, but Andrew Huberman has a really, really good one. So when you're looking these up, Andrew, go to their YouTube channel, okay? And then just type in, there's a little search box up there and look up breathing, right? Don't get lost in the weeds. Wim Hof is pretty much all breathing. Andrew Huberman's everything. So put in there Andrew Huberman Lab is his YouTube. And a lot, if you can get in there and just put in breathing, you can watch a few of these videos. I have a few that we're going to watch in just a minute. So hopefully not getting stricken. James Nestor. James Nestor is one I found. I don't know much about this guy, but he's pretty popular, I guess, on these social media channels. He's nasal breathing, slow, light breathing, 5 to 6 breaths per minute. That's pretty good. But just goes right through your straight nasal breathing, resonance breathing. And he actually wrote the book. It's called The Breath Book. It promotes nose-only breathing for better oxygen uptake, reduced anxiety, and athletic efficiency. Fixes mouth breathing issues, enhances sleep, exercise performance, and focus. So he created a book called The Breath Book. His name is James Nestor. And I took this in a different way just because I want to make sure you guys have resources as well. You know, we could do 1 or 2 in the time I do this, but if I give you some good ones to kind of look up, you can really take it to the next level. So next one his name's Patrick McCown. And this is I'm going to mess that up. Butico Oxygen Advantage. Okay, Butico Oxygen Advantage. So this one entails light nasal breathing, breath holds, reduced volume of CO2 tolerance, relaxation for anxiety. Okay, so this is another guy. So his name is Patrick. You can see there's several people that like this topic, and it's a really, really good one because you can really notice the effects. My guy that I love, in fact, Dr. Low Dog, actually the lady that the doctor that I'm taking a lot of my herbal things from is good friends with him, but his name's Dr. Andrew Weil. Dr. Andrew Weil. Oh, I did it wrong. Andrew Weil. Darn it. Well, add a L to all those. Weil. Here we go. He has written books way long time ago, before holistic was even a thing, before any of this would even be any kind of popularity. He was talking about breathing work, holistic medicine for years and years. Okay. And so what his is, we're going to go over that one. His is inhale 4 counts. So you inhale up to 4 counts. So you're breathing in 4, hold for 7, and then you exhale for 8 seconds. So that's 4, 7, 8 breathing. So inhale for 4, hold for 7, exhale for 8. And it's really, really good for stress and sleep. This one activates the parasympathetic really hard. It's really fast acting in the anxiety relief and better sleep. Okay. So simple, very simple for beginners. And it shows it lowers heart rate and blood pressure as well. So remember that one. And I think I have this one. We're going to go to this right after we go through it. Laird Hamilton and Gabby Reese. Laird. And they also have a YouTube channel that I think we're going to do it. It's about athletic performance and recovery. So that'll be fantastic as well. And another one, Stuart Sandeman. Stuart is StuartSandeman. This one is longer exhales, like a 7-Eleven drill, and then quick resets. So I think I have a video for each one, so we'll go through them. Okay, and then Harvey Martin, which is the last one. He's the Giants breathing specialist. So just intense holds, does a ton with Major League Baseball and NFL pros. All right, here we go. So we'll get rid of that. I just wanted to get you there just to understand who we're looking at when we're doing these, okay? All right, so let's start with, who do I want to start with? Well, let's start with my guy because he didn't get mad last time. All right.
I teach is the most powerful relaxation method that I've discovered. It's very simple, requires no equipment, takes very little time, costs nothing. And it is a practice. It's something that you have to do regularly. So in this technique, you breathe in through your nose quietly to a count of 4, hold your breath for a count of 7, and then blow air out through your mouth audibly and forcefully. And you do this for a total of 4 breath cycles. So I'm going to show you what this looks like.
Okay, so you're going to breathe in for 4, hold for 7, and then breathe out forcefully for 8. Good practice. Now he's going to show you. And he'll also do this for 4 cycles. So you want to do, just adding this in will get you up to that. If you do 4 cycles of this, a lot of times your parasympathetic will immediately kickstart. Your breathing and your sleep patterns will be amazing. So I want to show that, as we go. All right. So yes, you get to see my man, and then we're going to do it again. So now we're going to go to the next one. Let's see who else we got. Let's go to, let's first go to Stuart Sandeman. So I'm going to get this going. Okay. Let me share my screen again. I think I like his. Watch. We got to watch the video for a minute.
That people are meant to hear, it'll never make the impact that it truly is until you.
Hi, I'm Stuart, founder of BreathPod. I work with groups, individuals, businesses, teaching them to harness the power of our breathing for better health and well-being. We get 2/3 of our energy from our breath, and we expel 70% of toxins via the body from the breath. So it's quite fascinating when we start looking at, well, how are we actually breathing at the moment? How does that affect my physical body? And you probably noticed the second pillar of what we do is looking at the mental emotional states and the link to our breath patterns. What happens is our brain auto-generates breath patterns depending on the environment. Maybe the external environment or perhaps the internal environment through our thoughts. And it's this information from our brain that auto-generates a breath pattern. And it's the breath pattern, the rhythm, rate, and depth at which you breathe that triggers the brain to respond, which is quite key. because we can consciously control our breath. So we can override the signal being sent back to our brain. This means we can turn fatigue to energy, we can turn stress to calm, or unbalance to balance, reacting to responding.
That's pretty good. He's right. Now I'm going to get you to, I think it's here.
So we can use our breath to change our state pretty quickly. And how this works is because every in-breath, the breath is a really safe space for the mind to go. It's a safe place for us to move the mind. And there's this really special thing about the breath that connects all of us. So we can move into quite a deep state of awareness. If we need insight, clarity, maybe a moment of wisdom, there's something very special about the breath. It's what binds all of life. You breathe the same air I breathe. It's the same air that the tree breathes, the same air that everyone on earth, every animal, every plant, every human, we all have this exchange of breath. So something pretty special happens when we start tapping into that. We tap into that intelligence, that consciousness, however you believe that to be or whatever you believe that to be, we can tap into that through the breath.
All right. Well, he's not going to show us his thing on here, so we're going to move on. I thought I grabbed the right one. It's always tough to find the videos. That's why I always say I encourage, if you find somebody that you really like on what I'm going to show you, stay there and kind of watch it and understand, get into there, because a lot of times you can really go after it. Okay, so now I'm going to do Patrick McCown. Let me get it.
I want you to feel your breathing. I would like you to breathe in and out of the nose. I would like you to pay attention to the airflow as it comes into your nose and pay attention to the airflow as it leaves your nose. And as you feel your breathing, I'd like you to gently start slowing down your breath. Gently quieten your breath. Gently calm your breath. I'd like you to slow down the speed of the air as it enters and leaves your nostrils. And I'd like you to slow down your breathing to the point that you feel a tolerable air hunger. As you're doing it, I want you to check the amount of saliva in the mouth and possibly your body temperature. I also want you to check your degree of alertness, if you get more alert or more drowsy. So you're paying attention to your breathing. I really need you to slow down your breath. I really need you to quieten your breath. I really need you to calm your breath. Don't hold the breath. Don't freeze your breathing. Just gently soften the breath. I need you to soften the breath to the point that you feel that you want to take in more air. You need to feel breathless. You want to feel that you're not getting enough air, and you want to feel that you need to take in a deeper breath. But just do it by softening the breath, by quietening the breath, by calming the breath, by relaxing the breath, by taking a smaller or shorter breath in than what you feel you need, and a gentle, relaxed breath out. So you're deliberately taking less air into your body, you're gently softening your breath, you're gently quietening your breath, and as you quieten your breath, you should feel a need for air.
Okay. So that one's interesting. I wanted to show you guys that because one of the things that we have to remember is we have to understand physiology. So what did we say in one of those? Is physiology going through the nasal cavity instead of your mouth? Your mouth, you have the option, right? Your nasal cavity was meant for the breath to come in. The reason, and you have this labyrinth of sinuses, mucosal membranes, a lot of things, right? So we talk about, gut health, the gut microbiome that I constantly talk about. We talk about mouth health, the mouth microbiome. Nasal has anything different. The biggest thing is like when Patrick McKeown, I like his style in the sense of understanding that a lot of our mouth breathing, we're bypassing Think about where it's like overeating. So it's like we're almost over oxygenating, or we're bringing in more oxygen in the easy way through our mouth versus going through our nasal cavity. Why? Well, once you start activating going through your nose much more often, you activate physiology of your nose that stimulates those immune system cells, that allows the mouth to do what it's supposed to have your salivary glands possibly work better, right? So there is a lot of possibilities there when we start understanding to breathe through the nose. Okay. Most of us do not. We are more mouth breathers because that's the way we've learned. He was going into a path that was also one of those stressful ones, in the sense of when you breathe in through there, you feel like you can't breathe, right? You might feel oxygen deprived. So that's one to practice a lot. Nasal breathing can really take you to the next level. So tonight we've learned 4-7-8. Remember, 4, take 4 seconds, you inhale, you hold for 7, and then you push out 8, exhale for 8, and you do that for 4 times. That was Dr. Andrew Weil. The next guy, he was just kind of his is just breath work in general will change your physiology. This Patrick McCune, though, has some nasal, right? Some nasal breathing that it will actually help your physiology by making sure that we go through the nasal cavities versus the mouth. Okay. All right. So now let's go into another guy I found that you guys might like. Let me get out of this. And this guy was pretty good. His name, this is James Nestor. Okay, we talked about him. Okay. So let's look at what he's saying.
Mouth and nose, there are numerous. Stop breathing through your mouth. So breathing through your mouth isn't going to kill you. It's going to allow you to get enough oxygen to survive, but just surviving is different from being healthy. So compensation is different from really celebrating in vibrant health. So the difference between the mouth and nose, there are numerous differences, but the main ones are the nose is the filter. This is our first line of defense for the body. The nose also heats up air, it pressurizes it, it moistens it, and it conditions it so that by the time that air gets to our lungs, we can extract about 20% more oxygen breathing through our nose than we can equivalent breaths through the mouth. And if you think that's not going to make a difference throughout the day, throughout your life, you're crazy. When you start looking at so many chronic ailments, from asthma to allergies to even anxiety, and how they are directly tied to the way in which you breathe, and oftentimes they are tied to how we tend to overbreathe, you start to understand that having that extra pressure and resistance in your breath is so essential to calming your body down, filtering that air, and allowing yourself to work at peak efficiency. And when we walk through the day, just for one, we're not filtering that air, but we're also taking in way too much air, which stresses the body out. So a lot of you breathing through your mouth right now.
Okay, let's talk about this. He's brought up some great points. So we'll go back to that one. So 2 things that are happening. If we don't use our filter, if we don't use our nasal filter in the breathing process, we are bypassing the innate intelligence ability to stop toxins and foreign invaders from getting into our lungs. When we do that, when we start to do that, then we end up with allergies and asthma type symptoms. So one of the things to combat is to go through the nose. The other thing he brought was overbreathing. Now, overbreathing, if you saw that, like when we went back in the physiology part, if our breathing is balanced, the CO2 and oxygen come out of your body at the right time. If you have too much oxygen, then you don't get enough CO2 out of you. So you actually end up not circulating the flow as well. So that can be a big issue. And so one of the biggest things is understanding how to breathe through your nasals and learn to go back and forth until we are really, really good at that nasal breathing. There's a lot to be said about what he just said, going through your nose to breathe. Because if I can breathe better through that nose, even with the different processes we just talked about, blowing out your mouth, you can exhale out your mouth all the time. Bringing those beautiful breaths through your nose, though, it can be critical. Because if you think about the different physiological pieces there, if all the immune cells are waiting in your nose to take on the pathogens that are in the air, but I open my mouth to breathe instead, then you're bypassing a system that could really, really help you with asthma, allergies, all those kind of things. So I thought that was a really good one. And remember, asthma is also lack of oxygen. So it's the oxygen exchange problem where you're not getting rid of CO2 fast enough. Well, maybe it's because we've learned to mouth breathe for so many years that becomes an issue. Okay. So we will continue with this. He's a really good one.
Maybe thinking this guy is crazy. I breathe through my mouth. Everyone I know breathes through their mouths. What is crazy is to look at 5,400 other mammals on the planet right now.
Procrastination is not a problem. Instead, new science reveals it's the secret to finding purpose.
And look at how they're breathing. Dogs breathe through their mouths when they're thermoregulating to offload heat, but no other animal is an obligate mouth breather for a reason. It is terrible for our health. It affects how your face will look. It makes you more susceptible to periodontal disease. It creates hyperventilation. It can stress you out. I can give you a whole laundry list of problems associated with it. The science is very clear. Don't breathe through your mouth. Breathe through your nose as often as you can. Use your nose. So if you were to take an x-ray of your head, which is something I've done, you would notice something at the front of your face. You would notice that we have all of these crazy structures right at the front of our face.
All right. For fear to not put his thing on there, just look up Dr. James Nestor's of YouTube channel, because who knows, you might get mad, get a little butthurt that I showed just advertised for him to a bunch of people. By the way, thank you, and give me a thumbs up if you're out there. For thanks for the I got 10 people watching tonight, so I'm hoping this is worth your effort. So there is that one. Now I'm going to show you. I'm going to do my last one. This one's really good, so I want to make sure. Man, some of those. Okay, so I'm going to share this one. This is Andrew Huberman of Huberman Labs. He's very bigwig podcaster guy.
A few years ago, when my laboratory got interested in studying stress in humans, we asked ourselves, what are the patterns of breathing that allow for the most rapid reduction in stress levels? And more importantly, what are the patterns of breathing that can be done in real time so that people can adjust their stress while they're still engaging in life, right? Breathwork classes, running off to Esalen for a weekend is a magical experience, but life demands pressing on you. That's typically when you feel stress. So it is still true that vacation, long meditation retreats, and massages or a nice drink, if you're of drinking age, still work, but they're slow and they take you offline. The physiological sigh is a pattern of breathing that was actually discovered by physiologists in the 30s, and that was essentially rediscovered by Professor Jack Feldman at UCLA, a world expert in the neurobiology of respiration, and by my colleague Mark Krasno at Stanford, who studies lung function. The physiological sigh is a pattern of breathing that we all engage in deep sleep when levels of carbon dioxide in our bloodstream get too high. We, or our dogs, you can see your dog do this, will do a double inhale followed by an extended exhale. Children or adults for that.
Okay, when he's talking about that, think about how that works. So we take an inhale and we want to get it. The maximum usually takes 2 inhales. So just remember that as we're looking at this, and then a big long exhale. So 2 big ones and then out.
Matter that are sobbing and lose their breath, so to speak, will also do a double inhale, exhale. That's the spontaneous execution of what we call the physiological sigh. The reason it works so well to relax us is because it offloads a lot of carbon dioxide all at once. And the way it works is the following. Our lungs are not just 2 big bags of air. We have all these little millions of sacs of air that if we were to lay them out flat, they would be as big as about a tennis court or so. The volume of air, therefore, and the volume of carbon dioxide that we can offload is tremendously high, except we get stressed as carbon dioxide builds up in our bloodstream, and as kind of a double whammy, these little sacs deflate. Now, when we do a double inhale, so I'll do this now twice through my nose, or you could do this, or you could do it through your mouth, but it works best through the nose. It's inhale, and then you sneak a little bit more air in at the very end. When you do that, you reinflate those little sacs. And when you exhale, then you discard all the carbon dioxide at once. So the simple way to describe this protocol is that unless you are underwater, you do a double inhale followed by an extended exhale, and you offload the maximum amount of carbon dioxide. And we found in our laboratory, and other laboratories have found, that just 1, 2, or 3 of those physiological sighs brings your level of stress down very, very fast.
Nice. So that one's really good. And he's a really good follow, I'm telling you. So Andrew Huberman. Now, one of the things I will say, one of the things that's funny is he's so you got to think Stanford, those kind of things. Kind of behind us a little bit on the old holistic stuff on my 1% tribe. We've been a little ahead of the game. You'll hear other podcasters quite a bit, talk about holistic concepts. And one of the problems is if you come from a medical background or something like that, you could have issues like that. So, but it's good info. It's good info. It's really well done, kind of better than me, you would say, on this stuff, but I will get better. So those are the ones I wanted to show you tonight. Remember nasal breathing, 4-7-8. Physiological sigh. I like that one a lot. Where think about a kid that's crying and they do that. That's what they're doing. Right. So as the kid's crying and they're trying to get a bigger cry for you because they want your attention, they're coming up. Right. So try to use your nose more. You get into that commonality because that's where all your immune system is. That's where your physiology is for the inhale, and then exhale wherever you'd like to. Okay. So let's keep finishing up. That's all my YouTube stuff. All right. So what do we want to do for our 1% tribe tonight? Find a YouTube channel you like. Wim Hof, Andrew Huberman, Patrick McCune, the Saunders guy, all of those different ones. James Nestor is a very good one. He actually wrote the book on it. Is it worth it? Yes. This is an easy daily ritual, daily routine that we can change our lives, or we can change our physiology very, very fast. And anything that can change your physiology as well as breathing can, with just moving fluids throughout your body the way they're supposed to, this is worth you learning. And I fall off the map on this one pretty hard most of the time. That's one reason we're doing this one tonight, is so that I can practice mine each and every night and get it into the habits of my daily routine as well. And when you start doing performance enhancing, blood circulation, flow, nervous system, your immune system, all of those things start really, really adding up. Okay. So make sure we're adding whatever system you have. as far as these goes. And there's better, experts than me, of course, than on these subjects. But once we get there, you can change your world, kind of like meditation and visualization did for myself. I'm thinking this next year is going to be the year of breathing for me. And I'm gonna see how much difference I can make in my own health, in that sense. So let's do that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. This was very fun for me. It was breathing. So next week will probably be, I think it's an herb. So I got to look up some herbs. Remember, if you have any ideas on herbs that you'd like me to cover, and we can really go into a deep dive, let me know. Reach out on any of the channels. That'd be fantastic. Trying to learn how to check all the chats on the Rumble if there is any, on there. But yeah, I'm from here. Remember, also Wednesday night, Whole Health Weekly, about 8:30 at night, where we go over different health topics of that week. And I think that's all I got for you guys tonight. So I appreciate all your guys' time on the Sunday night. Have a great week. Breathe good this week. Take a couple breaths. Do a 4-7-8. Do a Wim Hof to get ready for your day. Do a physiological sigh. I think you're going to notice a difference there. Oh, yes. All right. Julie, you're on. We're doing stinging nettles for our herb. It's definitely happening. We just talked about this. Stinging nettles will be the one. That one's a pretty good one. Pretty intense. So with that said, you guys have a great night and see you on Wednesday.